Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Batman issue 5, written by Matt Fraction, with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tormo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. It's date night for Bruce Wayne as outside the Wayne Experimental Sciences building, Bruce picks up Dr. Zeller, who is still confused as to if this is a date or not, although Bruce doesn't think that it is, despite dressing up and buying Annika a gift. As they drive off into the city, Bruce spots a group of motorcyclists tailing their car. Fraction has used Bruce really well in his book so far, and I'm so glad we are getting a proper Bruce-centric issue, one where he doesn't have to dress up as Batman and has to be more of the kind of playboy James Bond archetype that he usually is. As Bruce keeps tabs on the bikers approaching, he and Zeller discuss her recent appearance on the Gotham Gang show with Hugo Strange. But Zeller is rather a tough nut to crack. Instead, she tries to shift focus back onto Bruce, who begins driving aggressively as the bikers close the gap between them. Bruce eventually has to come clean and tell her about the bikers, thinking that they are there to kill her. The bikers, who are of course also ninjas, attack the car and Bruce rams and slides into the group to avoid being boxed in by them, narrowly escaping their attempts to stop the car. This is the James Bond stuff I mentioned before, just a cool car chase with a cool looking car and some ninjas. It's, classic action movie stuff and works flawlessly with Bruce. Bruce promises to get Zeller out of this, speeding down into Gotham's Little Tokyo, where he avoids more ninja bikers and slides the car right off an overpass and down into Little Tokyo proper. Jorge Jimenez has just been in top form this entire series so far, but man, I just love the dynamic his action can be, utilizing not just great flow to keep the page moving, keep your eye line moving across all of the page, but the paneling gets creative too and makes the car chase even more thrilling. It's not just your simple panel layout with a car chase sort of intermittently cut between two characters talking. There's a big splash page where the car jumps off the cliff and everything. It just looks fantastic. Despite escaping the ninja bikers for now, Bruce crashes the broken car into a dumpster, meaning the car chase is about to become a foot chase as he and Zeller hightail it away from the car, still trying to figure out who the hell is chasing them and what's going on. Before they can get very far though, they are confronted by another problem, a woman who appears in a gust of wind and smoke, brandishing two katanas. So this is the new villain for the book called Lady Deathman, who originally was called the Ojo, I believe. And I'm not sure why the name was changed, because we have covers where she is called the Ojo and then they re-released those covers calling her Lady Deathman. As Lady Deathman readies to attack, Bruce tosses Zeller inside a dumpster and begins his fight with the villain. However, during the fight, the villain's katana is plunged into the dumpster Zeller is hiding in. But luckily, the little gift that Bruce gave her stops the blade before it can pierce her body, seemingly shattering the blade somehow. Despite the broken sword confusing Lady Deathman, she keeps on attacking Bruce, whose body armor hidden in the seams of his tailored suit save him from serious injury. Again, it's just more cool James Bond gadgets being put to great use. It's very rare we get to see, Bruce actually, get engaged in a fight. Usually he has to pretend to hide and run away because, he's playing that, scared cowardly billionaire role. But I like when he can kind of cut loose here a little bit and then we get to see these James Bond gadgets with the body armor suit and whatnot. Bruce seems evenly matched by the mysterious woman, and he is only really saved from being killed by the arrival of the biker gang, meaning these two threats aren't working together at all. Zeller climbs from the dumpster and Bruce implores her to make use of the chaos and escape. And this is where we learn about the gift that Bruce gave Zeller, revealing that it is a cube of titanographene, the metal that Zeller needs to continue her research on the Crown of Storms, and Bruce gifting it to her was his way of saying that he is looking forward to working with her. Zeller, however, left the cube, which is worth a small fortune, in the dumpster. Bruce shows this means more to him than money, telling her to run, so the duo head off into the bustling streets of Little Tokyo, not wanting to call the police since who knows who could be in on this plot to kill Zeller. The dynamic is so good here, and it sucks it really is just kind of like a one and done issue, because I don't think Zeller is going to be a reoccurring romance character for Bruce. I think this is kind of going to put the kibosh on that whole thing, but I could just see a whole arc with them, having to, run around the city, trying to find a way out of, the biker gang and whatever other threats, kind of come up, while also Bruce has to try and pretend he's not Batman. So in a way, it's kind of like the Warriors, where they're like, trapped in a part of the city they can't get out of or something. It'd be really interesting, but I kind of see where Fraction is going, with Zella kind of setting her up as like a romantic lead, then taking that away, because we can't really have that sort of stuff with Batman, since it always ends the same way. No matter how many times people try and write stories where that doesn't happen, it's going to end up with, her being killed, turning into a villain, something like that is going to happen to the story to prevent them from actually having cool date night stories together. Bruce and Zella head through the city and up onto a rooftop, where Bruce speculates this is happening because of her work, as very powerful and very violent people feel threatened by her research into the idea that their idea of identity can be changed. And, if you've been paying attention to the book, it's kind of obvious that Hugo Strange is behind all of this, because he was very much against what Zella was doing when they were on that talk show that Bruce mentioned at the start of the issue. He seemed very jealous of Zella coming up with the idea of the Crown of Storms, and hated that someone got to it before he did, but also it's putting his work in jeopardy as well, and he doesn't like that. So he's kind of the guy kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes here, which is cool. It's been a while since we've had Hugo Strange as a villain. Eventually they make it to the top of a building, and Lady Deathman appears again, and Bruce decides to take the threat head on this time, removing his jacket and getting ready for a fair fight, as the villain wonders what exactly Bruce Wayne is when he's not pretending to be this playboy he currently is. The villain runs at Bruce, but before she attacks, Robin appears, trapping Lady Deathman in a bat snare, which electrocutes her, causing her to escape again in a cloud of smoke and birds. Luckily, Damian knows who this villain is, citing her as the Ojo, having studied her during his time in the League of Assassins. So I still don't get why they changed the title on the cover to Lady Deathman, and why Robin still calls her the Ojo. I guess, she can have two names, of course, but it's just an odd choice to, do something that specific. Maybe they didn't think people would know what Ojo is or something. And speaking on Ojo for a moment, they are kind of a nothing character. It feels like they were meant to have more in this issue, and the plot of this issue kind of got changed around a fair bit. It feels like we were meant to see Ojo a lot sooner in the book, a lot sooner in the series, and maybe this was like their big main appearance, and then later on they'll fight Batman again at some point. That could still happen, but it feels like there was a big chunk of this issue that was taken out and deleted and, filled in with, the car chase stuff and the interactions with Bruce and Zella earlier on in the issue. It just feels like there was that big chunk taken out. It's kind of fairly obvious where it was meant to sit as well. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That sort of stuff happens all the time in comics. We don't really talk about it that much, and the character just kind of disappears, literally from the last several pages of the book here. I just kind of up and leaves. So I'm wondering, like, what's going to happen with that character, whether they're, maybe been pushed down the line a little bit in terms of when they're actually meant to appear. Maybe because we're having a Joker arc very soon, maybe they appear after the Joker arc. Maybe the Joker arc takes precedence over everything, because of course it's the Joker. While the action has all calmed down for Bruce and Zella, things get a little worse as Damian begins showboating for his father, revealing that he knows all about how to deal with the Ojo's decoherence power, and it's during his showboating that he calls Bruce father, not realizing that Dr. Zella is standing right there and has heard his entire little speech. So this is a pretty big fuck up on Damian's part, but I know Fraction is working this into the story, since what he's been doing with Damian is really cool, where, the boy is trying to figure out what he is in life, and much like how John Kent has been figuring out that, like, superheroing cannot be something he does 100% of the time, Damian is also trying to figure that out as well, with stuff like being accepted into college and just kind of growing up a little bit. And that's what Fraction is doing with this character, trying to make him grow up a little bit, and this is probably going to be a linchpin in that, where Damian realizes the big fuck up he has done, or does something where he realizes he has made a mistake and is trying to atone for it or something. I'm intrigued to see what Fraction is going to do with it. That said, it's a pretty big fuck up to do, basically out your father as Batman in front of someone. He's not paying attention to his surroundings, which is very much unlike Damian. And I can't wait to see how Bruce rolls with this revelation in the next issue, and how Fraction kind of squares it. Batman issue 5 was a fun Bruce Wayne-centric storyline covered in an age-old Batman and superhero trope. The hero has to keep his secret identity secret. Bruce and Zella's dynamic during the ninja motorcyclist chase was fun and light, but the issue really suffers from the introduction of Lady Deathman or the Ojo, or whatever else she is going to go by, since it feels like she's not really a character. She was just kind of cut from the book, and it feels like there was a large chunk of her character cut from the book, and I'm not really sure why that was, but it kind of drags the book down a little bit, and hopefully we get to see her a bit more in the later issues, but it's just a very odd introduction here with nothing really to go on. I'm going to give this issue a 6.5 out of 10.